it's a really troubling manifestation of the school to prison pipeline when we have a campus administration that has as its leader the president of the university, someone with no experience whatsoever in higher education, but someone with very close ties to the Republican administration in Tallahassee as a former majority leader and as an executive vice president of the GEO Group. This is very troubling. The United States has the highest incarcerated population in the world, and this continuation of that with making our campuses feel unsafe, putting our students at risk. I've seen police here with long guns. We remember Kent State. This is not the place to have militarized campuses, not on FEUs or any campus.
You mentioned that you're rejecting any corporate PAC money. How do you see grassroots protests like this fitting into your campaign?
Yeah, this has been some of the best opportunities I've had to come out and meet folks in the community, particularly here on FAU's campus. With 31,000 enrolled students, it is the largest university in the 23rd district, and getting young people involved is a core tenet of my campaign. I have a brother who's enrolled right now up in Tallahassee as a freshman. So the experiences of the students here on FAU's campus are extremely close to heart for me. And I believe that young people deserve a voice in our political system, and they have a place here with our campaign.
The turnout today really shows that people are ready to act locally, but how would you make sure that our local organizing power translates into national change if you win?
I would love to have, as part of my congressional office, experts in not just immigration policy, but in policing and in free speech. We're seeing not just in FAU, but across the country, attacks on our free speech rights and our First Amendment. It starts with immigrants and non-citizens, but eventually it will come for all of us. So I believe that solidarity is really a core component of what we're doing here, and why I showed up on campus today to protest with these student organizers. And in Congress, part of what I plan to do with immigration policy, I believe we need to have conversations about amnesty like we did in the 1980s, like we extended to millions under Ronald Reagan. We need to talk about amnesty, a pathway to citizenship, finally, for Dreamers, and not just DACA, but DAPA, the parents of arrivals. We have a broken immigration system, and we need to create legal pathways to citizenship, pathways to legal residency, and expanding things like H-1B visas, so that in a country as the United States currently has with a labor shortage, we need to have legal pathways for people to come here, to work, and to grow our economy. This is ultimately what we need for economic growth, and I believe the stagnation we're seeing in the economy as we're suppressing undocumented workers. Just today at the Hyundai factory in Georgia, 500 undocumented workers taken off of the assembly line. They're earning a wage, building America, and so we need to support our immigrant communities and find a real solution in Congress, and that's what I'll work toward.
Many of us showed up here today because of GEO Group, but the same forces and influences show up in housing, healthcare, and wages. What other areas are important for students to focus on for their present and future lives?
Yeah, I think money out of politics is an overarching issue, overturning Citizens United with a constitutional amendment, because the money in politics and the corporate PACs touch every piece of legislation. GEO Group is an enormous political contributor. Private health insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies are enormous political contributors. So I believe students are some of the best voices we have to fight back against this system, because the students here on FAU's campus, in their adult lives, all they have known is a corrupt political process. We need to call it out as such, and I believe that students have some of the clearest voices to that effect. So we need to call out corruption and campaign finance so that we can actually get to the root causes to address incarceration and the highest incarcerated population in the world in the United States, where we also pay the highest per capita for our healthcare and are the highest income country without guaranteeing healthcare as a right. It all goes back to money in politics. And so for any young person, student, or otherwise who's looking to get involved in the political process for the first time, I believe that money in politics is a great way to begin and start educating yourself.
We heard from many today that the law enforcement presence was excessive. If elected, would you try to influence law enforcement so that we get a more appropriate response to these types of demonstrations?
Yeah, I think a few things. One, we're just spending too much money on ICE in this country, especially after Republicans' big ugly bill. that was passed in July that devoted $170 billion additionally to ICE's immigration actions across the country. We could pay for free public college tuition at FAU and every other campus in the country with $170 billion a year. So we need to look at our priorities and consider that the opportunity cost of having police on campus in such large numbers. Of course, we want to ensure that students are protected and that campuses are safe environments, and having campus security to that effect is a necessary thing to do. But to have so many police with rifles, with horses, with the SWAT vehicles that I saw protesting during the George Floyd movement in Washington, D.C. in 2020, this rises above the level of campus security and gets into the realm of intimidation and attempting to silence students. When we have snipers up on campus administration rooftops and people the police kettling protesters, I just think that it elevates the anxiety of students, it elevates the antagonism, and we need to really look at making these campuses safe and healthy places for students and community members, faculty to express ourselves without fear of intimidation, while also balancing the very real need for campus security and the safety of everyone involved, protesters and bystanders alike.
We heard from a lot of students today that they want to remain politically involved. Why should they vote for you in 2026?
Yeah, so my name is Oliver Larkin, candidate for Florida's 23rd Congressional District, including Boca Raton and most of eastern Broward County. And I'm not taking corporate PAC money, including APAC. I'm rejecting all special interest corporate PACs and lobbyists funding my campaign so that I can fight for policies like Medicare for all, a $25 minimum wage, a Green New Deal, getting money out of our politics, and abolishing ICE. So that's what I would say to young people, and young people have a voice, have a leadership role to play in our campaign organization, and so I hope you'll consider joining and not just coming out to vote for me, but helping build the movement that's possible to make us win.
And where can they follow you and find you online?
So oliverforcongress.com, and you can find me on social media on X and TikTok, Oliver A. Larkin, on Instagram, Threads, Oliver Adams Larkin. Blue Sky is at oliveralarkin.bsky.social, and you'll see me around, but I think those are the main ones to cover. oliverforcongress.com being the main.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.